Hey guys, Libby News here. So today I'm going to be doing my review for Danganronpa 3 Despair Side Episode 9, and this episode was really gruesome. Like, I'm not very squeamish when it comes to anime violence. I've watched some pretty brutal stuff. I've watched like Hellsing Ultimate and Elfen Lied and even some of Gantz, and none of those shows ever made me feel squeamish, but some of the scenes in this episode just ugh. But other than that, it was a really good episode. Definitely a good setup episode for the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start on with a review. So in the first scene, we pick up exactly where we left off in the last episode, which is when Chiaki remembers Izuru and knows that it's actually Hajime. And also in this scene, we see that Izuru does not remember Chiaki at all. But regardless of this, I do still have a tiny bit of hope that he'll recognize her at some point. In the last episode, it seemed as if Junko was sort of emphasizing Chiaki out of all the 77th classmates when she was talking to Mikan about them and looking at those photos, and it seems the same way here that she seems to be the most interested in Chiaki. Based off of this scene, it seems as if her initial plan was to brainwash Chiaki first and then have her influence the rest of the 77th class. But later we'll see that she decides to change her plan after Chisa's involvement. And something I do want to talk about really quickly is a theory that a few of you guys have messaged me about and have wanted me to express my opinion on. So basically in Japan there's this fairly popular theory that Chisa is the mastermind and is dressed up as Asahina. There's a post on Reddit that goes into it in depth and kind of points out all the reasons why people seem to think this in Japan. I personally believe that it's a little bit far-fetched, but if you guys are interested in looking at that theory, I'll link it below. And one of you guys on Twitter actually sent me this picture, which was supposed to be more fuel for the flame for that theory. And since it appears that Chisa has been taken into despair, I think a lot more people are probably going with it. I will admit, in that Reddit post, they do point out some pretty interesting inconsistencies regarding Asahina's character, but like I said, I think it's an interesting theory, but still a little too far-fetched for me. But I'd love to know your opinions on it as well, if you have any. Moving on, we do see Junko reveal her evil plan to Chisa about how she wants to push the 77th class into despair, and I've been kind of thinking as to why Junko has like such an obsession with the 77th class and why she specifically wanted to push them into despair, and I think I figured out the reasoning behind it. At the beginning of the anime, we learned that a lot of the classes in Hope's Peak Academy don't attend regularly. There generally isn't any set lesson plans and they don't have regular class hours, so a lot of the time the students just kind of do whatever they want to, and then Chisa and Chiaki rounded them all up and then encouraged them and just gave them so much hope. So I do kind of feel like the 77th class is the most hope-filled class in the whole entire school, and that is why Junko decided to target it. And even some of the phrasing that Junko uses, such as "your class, which was hope itself, will be dyed with despair," sort of implies to me that Junko perceived this class to be the most hopeful class there at the school. And like I said before, I do think Junko would get a lot of satisfaction bringing the people who had the most hope down to despair. And it's also a challenge, which, as we all know, Junko is perpetually bored, so I think she will always try to take the most challenging people just as a way to help her in her quest to solve her boredom. But that's just my idea on the situation. Let me know if you guys have any of your own. And I know I said earlier that Junko revealed that her plan was to in fact brainwash Chiaki when Chiaki and Komaeda first came down there, but at the beginning of this scene, Chisa mentions that she let Komaeda and Chiaki go too easily, and then Junko states that she came up with a new plan. So based off of this one line, I do kind of feel like Junko changed her mind about brainwashing Chiaki along with all the other students, and I have a theory, or really just kind of like an idea of how I think it might go down, but I'll share that at the end of the video. But moving on, Junko decides to reveal to Chisa that she will be using brainwashing as the technique in which to make the 77th class fall into despair, and then she brings down one of the reserve corps students that she's already brainwashed as an example. And this scene is one of the scenes that will haunt my nightmares for the next 2 weeks. Really, really brutal stuff. It was honestly really hard to watch, and I don't think I did for the most part. I really wanted to try and watch for the sake of the reaction portion of this video, but I just had to turn away. Then we see the 77th class all gather talking about how they need to save Chisa, and at first Komaeda discourages them, saying that the despairs are just too strong. But then Chiaki stands up and states that if Chisa had hadn't been there, then Chiaki would still be a loner, she would have never gotten to know all of them. And since Chisa was there for all the fun and the sad times, it just wouldn't feel right to do nothing in this situation. Then, of course, it's revealed that Kamado was just trying to encourage them through a sort of roundabout way, as he usually does. Essentially, he was just testing them to see how strong their hope was, which, of course, I'm sure he knew that they would pass. Also, in this episode, we get to learn the Ultimate Imposter's true face, which was pretty awesome. And in this, we got to add a new crazy Kazuichi face along with a crazy Ibuki one as well. So that was pretty funny. And after we see all of the members of the 77th class head out to go save Chisa, we get this scene between Juzo and Munakata. Munakata in the scene reveals his suspicions regarding Junko Enoshima to Juzo, and Juzo, being himself, of course, agrees to apprehend her for interrogation. A couple of interesting things I do want to point out regarding Junko Enoshima's file is that the Funimation subtitles translate the notes below saying admission by recommendation by the board of directors is a special case, but the board guarantees their talent. As such, admission to the 78th class is approved. Principal Jun Kirigiri and Scout Koichi Kizakura must not involve themselves in this decision, as the principal oversees students after admission. The board bears no responsibility. So this right here basically confirms that Jun Kirigiri and Koichi Kizakura had absolutely nothing to do with enrolling Junko within the school, and instead her enrollment was done by the steering committee, or the board of directors as Funimation likes to call them, which were the same people to come up with the Izuru Kamakura project. I'm not completely sure if this will be brought up again or if there's a whole lot of importance regarding this, but I mostly wanted to bring it up because the board of directors screws up a lot. But moving on from this, we see Chisa's torture sequence, and this scene is really painful to watch. It's honestly just straight up sick. They have Chisa's eyes pinned open watching the brainwashing video, and when it seems as if just watching it is not good enough to brainwash Chisa, Makuro begins to lobotomize her. What's implied to be going on here is that Makuro is lobotomizing the part of her brain that would stimulate some sort of sexual pleasure, and since she's watching this brainwashing video about students killing each other, it's supposed to have a correlation between the two now, so that whenever she thinks of despair now, she'll gain pleasure from that. And yeah, like I said before, it's just super messed up. So essentially we see that this technique is working along with the video, and the symbolism showing that it is in fact working is that her memory of Munakata, who is in fact her hope, is just burning. Now, I don't necessarily think that this means the memory of Munakata is gone, but that Chisukizome has officially fallen into despair, and that her love for Munakata has now been replaced with her love for despair. I know a lot of people are still kind of on the bandwagon for Chisa being the mastermind, or maybe thinking that she stays in despair, but I do think she will eventually get help for it and kind of fall out of it. I think if she does though, she'll never be herself fully again, and she'll probably relapse a lot too, but that's just sort of my opinion on the situation right now. This scene did help me understand why Munakata hates the despair so much. I think he's definitely gone off the deep end on Future Side, but after seeing what they did to Chisa, I can kind of understand his rage more. And in the Future Side, Munakata talks a lot about wanting to just kill all despair, and since it's confirmed now that Chisa at least at one time was despair, I do wonder how that affected their relationship. I don't really have like a huge, long, drawn out meta sort of explanation or analysis like I usually do for this. I just wanted to bring it up. I'll definitely try and see later on down the line if I can analyze the dynamic of their relationship more, but as for right now, I'm just really intrigued by it. Also, we see that Izuru is watching this unfold, and he states how dull. It is interesting to see that Izuru does not seem to be as interested in despair anymore. Like I mentioned in one of my previous episodes, Junko mentions that she breaks Izuru's spirit, and I'm guessing that's what puts him into despair. From seeing how emotionless and pretty much vapid Izuru is, I do feel like the only way Junko could break his spirit is if a portion of Hajime comes to life within inside of him. And of course, breaking his spirit would probably involve Chiaki either being killed or being brainwashed in a horrible way such as Chisa was. I still think it's more likely that she'd die as a martyr, because then it would make more sense for the Future Foundation to create a program of her and put that in to watch the rest of the 77th class in the Neo World program, but that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear if you guys have any opinions of your own. Moving on to the next scene, we see Junko trying to manipulate Ryota to fall into despair as well, since he was the one who helped her work on that anime. I honestly really felt bad for Ryota this scene, because something that he tried to create to help him cope with the emotional abuse he felt from his fellow peers, and more than likely his parents. And the thing he tried to create to make the world a better place just completely got twisted and was turned into one of the inciting things for the tragedy of the world, really. Over the past couple of weeks, I had become more suspicious of Ryota's character because I had a feeling he might fall into despair from being forced to help Junko on this project. I still sort of am suspicious of him, especially since it does seem as if he's falling into despair in the scene, but I think we'll just have to wait and find out. After he runs away, he's washed into a river and then eventually washed up on shore. And here we see him ask himself why he's such a weakling, why he can't move, and how he wishes he could help everybody. It seems like he really is trying his best to go out and save everybody, and I honestly felt really bad for him in this scene. I'm definitely interested to see what kind of role he plays in the next couple of episodes of Despair Arc, and honestly in future arc as well. Next, we see Juzo approach Junko and of course accuse her of being the ultimate despair, and this face-off right here is where we will see how Juzo lets down Minokata, because if you look at the ground, you can see that the stones are in the same formation as they are in the flashback that Juzo had in one of the previous Future Side episodes. I'm sure you guys could have figured out that this is where that would happen anyway, but I figured I'd point out the floor thing too. Next, we see the 77th class walking into Junko's bunker area, and unsurprisingly, Mikan betrays the group and pushes Chiaki down a secret passageway. And once inside of this passageway, we see Chisa waiting there. She states that Izuru let her go and that everyone is in danger and that they need to hurry up in order to save them. And then she flashes this signature evil smile, and this look right here, and of course the previous brainwashing scene does imply that Chisa is in fact brainwashed and in despair. Also, the title of the episode is Chisa Yukizome Doesn't Smile, so I think that is a way for the show to symbolize that she has lost her hope and has fallen into despair. Okay, so there's a couple of things I do want to talk about here, just share some of my theories, thoughts, and ideas. And the first thing I noticed is that Junko isn't there right now, so she's basically leaving this entire plan up to Makuro and Chisa and Mikan. I'm sure she'll come back to watch the 77th class fall into despair, but I do think it's kinda odd that she's not going to actually be there for the initial part of it. So I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was pretty odd. Secondly, we learned from this episode that Chiaki is really observant when it comes to the people that she cares about. And we know that two people that she definitely cares about a lot is Hajime and Chisa. And we saw previously that she was able to notice that Izuru was in fact Hajime, or at least used to be Hajime. So I don't think it'll take too long for Chiaki to figure out that Chisa has been brainwashed. And I think this is one of two reasons as to why Junko wanted to separate her from the group. It would obviously be problematic if Chiaki noticed the difference in Chisa's behavior while she was around the other 77th class. So again, this was the first reason as to why Junko wanted to separate her from them. Secondly, just like Chisa, she is a beacon of hope and was a really big factor in uniting the class together and helping them symbolize hope. So earlier in the episode, Junko revealed her plan to Chisa as being that she was going to get the 77th class to watch that brainwashing video. And I think brainwashing tactics will be incorporated into their fall into despair, but I don't think it'll just be that video. The reason why I believe this is firstly because I honestly no longer believe that Mikan is in full despair mode. And I know I said that I thought she was in my previous review for Despair Side, but I retract that statement. And the reason I'm taking it back is because Mikan seemed way too apologetic when she was betraying Chiaki to be in full despair. You could definitely see that there was still a strand of the old Mikan there. And comparing how she acts there to how she acted when she was in full despair mode in Super Danganronpa 2 and in the first episode of Future Side, I definitely don't think that full despair Mikan would ever feel apologetic about anything. She seemed way too far gone. So I don't think they're just gonna watch the video and then become the remnants of despair. I think there's gonna be more to it. And this is where Chiaki and Chisa come in. My speculation on the way that they could incorporate these brainwashing tactics and the 77th class falling into actual despair would be initially Chisa coming up to them and tricking them, somehow getting them knocked out so they're tied up in those chairs that Chisa was kind of in and forced to watch a television screen. And on the television screen, I don't think it'll be the regular despair video that the others watched. Instead, I think it'll be video of Chisa killing Chiaki live broadcasted to the 77th class, and then Makuro, as she's broadcasting it to them, is incorporating different types of brainwashing tactics that Ryota used in the other video. But this is just my speculation of how I think it could go down. I'm not like 100% like dead set like this is definitely gonna happen, but it's just sort of what I could see happening. And even if this isn't the way it plays out at all, I do stand by my idea that it's not just gonna be the brainwashing videos that push them into despair. There's gotta be something else, something extra added. And I especially believe this because of what I said about Mikan. I mean, full despair Mikan is way crazier and more despair-filled than the Mikan we see here. So I definitely think there's going to be an extra push to push her into full despair and the rest of the class. But anyways, this is my review. That was my speculation of what I think will happen next. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, it'd be awesome if you left a like or a comment. It really helps me out, and I will see you guys real soon. I'm nervous. I'm really nervous about this episode. People are saying it's supposed to be sad, so... Chiaki, don't die. I know you're probably gonna die, but not now. Gonna just pick up right where we left off. Oh. Oh. It might take him a little bit to remember, maybe? Maybe I'm just in denial. Leave her alone, Junko. Oh, God. Know where that was going. I guess she thought maybe she could get Chiaki to fall into despair, and that would, like a domino effect would happen with the rest of the students, too. Oh, no, she sees him. Maybe Ryota did finish enough of the video to, like, use it. Ooh. I wonder if she's gonna be doing something like an inside job. Sumiki, I mean. It's a reserve course. Who kind of looks like Hajime. Oh, I don't know, want to see that. Even if he is blue. Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm just gonna look this way. God, that is messed up. Oh my God. I'm honestly, like, legitimately happy he was blue and not, like a realistic looking person with blood. I'm kind of surprised he's saying that. I thought he would have, like, a really big hope boner right now. Oh, you're so cute. Yeah, I was like, I think Chiaki is gonna, like, give a real hope speech. Not one of Kamaida's crazy ones. Man, he looks pissed. Oh, Chiaki. She's gonna die and I'm gonna cry. I can't believe Kidaka might kill off 2 of my waifus in the same week. Oh, Chiaki. Listen to Kamaida. Stay in the classroom. Oh, no way! We get to see what he looks like! Wow, that's awesome. That's so cool. Oh, God, yeah, she's trying to, like, brainwash her. Poor Chisa. Oh, God. Yeah, I thought that maybe they did something else. Well, God, yeah. This really messed up. Oh, God. Is she, like... Oh. I feel so bad for her. How does she get better after this? Or does she get better? Oh, no. Oh, God. These people are so obsessed about getting into Hope's Peak Academy. Dear Lord. Oh, yeah, here we go. Gundam and Need-Eye. A badass battle scene. If something happens to the hamsters this episode, I really will cry. Those hamsters do not... They deserve better. Gonna make him feel guilty for it and try and, like, push him into despair because of that. Yeah, I think that's exactly what she's trying to do. Oh, he looks like he's pretty badly in despair. Oh, poor thing. Yeah, Chiaki's like, what's going on? I'm a little suspicious, though, still, that, like, Chisa wasn't affected at all. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really suspicious because she went through, like, the brainwashing stuff, so, the smile at the end was, like, a little bit evil. Like...
Subscribe to Weeby News for more hope-filled videos.